this back and forth we've been watching with Trump and Zelensky. Some people are saying, and Jay Scott was on the show earlier, and he was talking about maybe Trump is actually getting this right. He's doing it. It seems he's doing everything very calculated here, setting up Zelensky to just pop, just fail. And it looks like he's in the process of failing right now. He wants out. Zelensky wants out. He's saying that he wants out. So let's go through this recent developments. So he's all over the place about this money because you guys remember last week we told you guys as they were going back and forth. Trump calling Zelensky a dictator, Zelensky firing back at Trump, Zelensky admitting that there was money missing from the $200 billion. I repeat, $200 billion that we gave him. He's saying at least half of it is missing. So we know all that. What about the money that you did get? You're admitting you got $100 billion? Okay. So what about how much of that are you going to be paying back, Zelensky? Tell us how much you're going to be paying back of any of that money that our elected officials pushed our taxpayer money to give to you. How much of that are we going to get back? Let us know, please.
Що у нас було 100. І це факт. Я не збираюсь визнавати 500.
I'm not going to recognize 500. So you gave me 100. I'm not going to recognize 500. Okay. No matter what. All right, go on. You're talking 100 billion. 100 billion you gave him. You're not going to recognize 500. Okay.
Що не говорив, як би ми не спілкувались. При всій повазі. Ще раз.
With all due
При всій
respect
повазі до партнерів, але
to the partners,
я стійко стою, тому
I'm
що
standing firm because this is a true situation. We are absolutely in the second situation, to be honest, even 100 billion, I'm not ready to play back. Let me explain why. Wait, okay. So you prefaced it with forget 500, forget 200, forget anything other than the 100. I'm only admitting to receiving 100. And I'll even give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that all the other middlemen in this money laundering scheme, which we've been telling you guys from the beginning, Ukraine is a money laundering scheme. It's been that way for 3 effing years. So let's take his word for that part. I'm just saying, like, he's probably lying about that too. But let's say that he only received 100 billion, not 500, not 200, 100. Okay. Now, what are you telling us about that 100? What are you telling us, Zelensky? Are we not getting that back?
Поясню чому.
Let me explain why. Because we should not recognize grants as debts. Oh, so this was a grant. Huh, interesting.
Подобається це?
Do you like it or not? I negotiated with Biden. I negotiated with the Congress of the United States of America. I'm grateful to the Congress. It was the presence of 2 parties. We had the negotiation, motherfuckers. That's what he's saying. We worked it out. Sorry, everyone, that I took your money and you had no say in it. Sorry, you stupid idiot Americans. I worked this out with Biden. I worked this out with every member of effing Congress, except probably Thomas Massie and maybe a few others. That's it. All the Democrats, all in. And he's saying now, oh no, it wasn't a loan. It was a grant. Well, you guys are really bad negotiators. You are horrible negotiators because you told us it was a loan. In fact, Zelensky, you told us it was a loan. Remember? Do you remember? We remember.
You can't give us some financial support. Okay, please give us a credit and we will give you back money.
Please give us credit and we'll give you back money. Please. That's the look of desperate, right? That's the desperate look. Please. And even his voice changes. He speaks English. Isn't that funny? He all of a sudden can speak English when he needs. It's a loan. Please. This is like, can I get an extension on my credit card payment? Can I get a bonus? Can I get a cash advance? Oh, please. And as soon as you get it, you're like, F you, I ain't paying that back. I don't give a shit. F you. So the demeanor changes. He goes back to he's not speaking English anymore. That's for sure in that first clip. So there we are. Now, how do we know that he quit or that he wants to quit? Well, we followed up with this. So after he changed the loan to a grant, now he's saying, suggesting that he's done. Daytime Drama Award goes to Zelenskyy says, ready to quit as president in exchange for Ukraine and NATO membership. Oh, you're negotiating a quitting if we get membership. If you want me to leave my post as soon as possible, I'm ready for that. He's so desperate to leave. He's putting out this claim that just get Ukraine into NATO and I'll be out. Pretty desperate, pretty wild. That's not going to happen. Ukraine is not joining NATO. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If that happens, we are in the midst, as we've been saying, World War III, and that's it. We're done. You can't do that. That's not in the cards. We have no situation with Russia where that would be acceptable. That's the point. Ukraine is supposed to stay neutral. That's what we agreed to. That's what we agreed to. I'm telling you guys, we'll double down on this. There's no way Ukraine is winning this war. There's no way Ukraine is joining NATO. None of that is going to happen. Zelenskyy just needs to go now. He's already saying, I want out. He just needs to go. We still need to be very concerned about the other role players in this. This is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey down to the last Ukrainian Graham. And he's not really happy right now. And he's doubling down. Looks like, according to Adam, Senator Lindsey Graham calls for the U.S. military to help Israel strike Iran's nuclear power plants, stating the Trump administration needs to make a decision soon. Okay, so he's going all in on the war with Iran. Why? Because he knows that Ukraine war is ending. I actually have to give Lindsey Graham props because he's saying, forget all that with Putin. Let's start focusing now on Iran. Ooh, yeah. You can see the lips are salivating. You can see it. Let's hear it. Let's hear him say it. Let's hear him say it himself. This is Lindsey Graham turning his attention to Iran. Check it.
Administration is going to have to make a decision here very soon about the Iran nuclear program. There are two paths to take. A military path where we help Israel deliver a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear infrastructure. I prefer that path. The second path is to negotiate with Iran to try to get them to abandon their nuclear ambitions. If that path is chosen, it needs to be limited in time. We should put it on the clock, and we should define what success looks like.
So, no, just to be very clear, no negotiating. We don't negotiate. That's our strategy. That is our foreign policy. We do not negotiate. Have you guys gotten the memo? That's our foreign policy. We don't negotiate with Putin. We don't negotiate with Iran. We don't negotiate with China. We don't negotiate with anyone. Period. We don't. So as soon as you guys understand that that is a failed policy, that is a policy of an aggressor. NATO is an aggressor. If they can't get a war over here, they're going to go over here. They're going to multitask it. We started to realize that the failed attempt at the war in Ukraine was actually a setup to get Putin distracted so he wouldn't be all in on the Syria situation, so we can go double back for Syria and take out Assad, which we did. We drove him out. So that happened. It was like an 11-day thing. You guys remember that. So NATO plays this game of aggression. Don't negotiate. Lindsey Graham's fully aware of it. And I will tell you this. I will take Lindsey Graham's assessment over someone like, I guess, ex-populist, ex-activist, people's activist, former people's activist, Bernie Sanders, turned neocon. Bernie Sanders is now a neocon. We covered his biggest hit post ever. I don't know if it was on Instagram, but there was like 1 million people that watched it last week. We covered that. His big FU to Trump, doubling down on neocon propaganda, doubling down on Russia. You guys are not going to believe Bernie's take on what's happening right now. As Zelenskyy is giving us a back and forth on loan and grant, Bernie, you are 100% at fault for participating in this loan grant, 200 billion, 500 billion. We lost 400 billion of it. Bullshit. You're totally responsible for that. You will never admit it. So on one hand, Lindsey Graham is telling us what we're doing. Bernie is still lying. And he doubled down on that last video. And I think it's because he got so many hits on it last week. He said, you know what? I think I'm going to do another one. Yeah, I'm going to do another video where I blame Trump for giving us misinformation about historical context of why we're in a war. And I'm going to double down on the lie that Putin bad man. Putin bad man. Democrats good. Trump dangerous. Let's hear Bernie. And he takes the camera outside, so he gives you a nice little view of Vermont in the back. Really nice view of February in Vermont. Good job with this, Bernie. You got the lighting. You got this. This is great. You're really relating to us now. All the people that no longer come to your freaking rallies. You piece of S. Bernie Sanders doubling down on Trump is a danger. Putin is a dictator. Zelenskyy is a hero. Check it out.
I want to hear one Republican come to the floor of the Senate and talk about freedom unless that senator has the guts to call out Trump for the lies that he is telling about Putin and the war in Ukraine. Mr. President, it was Russia that started the war, not Ukraine. It is Putin who is the dictator, not Zelenskyy. This country must not align itself with Putin and authoritarianism. We must fight for democracy all over the world.
Paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. Please chip in $27 on your way out the door. Please. The gift bucket is going around. We need your $27 to fund the next neocon warmongering ad for Bernie to tell us to give us even more money so we can continue funneling it through the Democratic Party into the military-industrial complex. So F you, all my supporters that were out in the streets with me in 2016. F you, who came back and gave me a second chance in 2020. I personally put a hole in my campaign on purpose that deflated it completely when I told you in January of 2020 that Putin was the reason why I'm ahead in the polls. That's right. Bernie Sanders did that in January of 2020, right before COVID. Bernie Sanders told us that the reason he was number one in the polls wasn't because the people wanted him to stick it to the Democratic Party, because that's what we wanted. Not that reason. Not that they didn't like anyone else on that effing list, including a fourth place Joe Biden at the time. Fourth place. He told us Putin wanted him to be in the lead. And we have to be careful about Putin propaganda and not trust it. So he purposely took himself out of that race and told us that. So Bernie, I ask you, Bernie neocon Sanders, I ask you all these years later, do you still believe that Putin wanted you to be the nominee for the Democratic Party in 2020? And that's why you had to fall back and trust your friend, the good Joe Biden, my good friend Joe Biden. Everyone, he's a good friend. I talk to him every day. You got to vote for him. And then, later we'll get him to do something. Yeah, freaking right. We don't fall for that anymore, Bernie. And that's it. We're done with you. And you know what? At least Lindsey Graham has the balls to tell us he's a salivating neocon who wants blood. Just tell us. Lindsey freaking down to the last Ukrainian Graham. At least he will tell us that. So we'll take the wolf over the wolf in sheep's clothing any day. Okay, that's our update on Ukraine. It looks good. It looks like we're heading in the right direction, and we'll keep an eye on this. And yeah, we're hopeful. We were on the fence, but now it looks like the cards are falling into place, and we might actually get through this thing. And I tell all my Democratic friends here in Hollywood, I tell them there are people who voted for Trump for that one issue. The one issue is he can actually end one of these freaking wars, and one less war is good enough for a vote. Even if I don't like him for anything else, that's a reason to vote. So you got to know that those type of people exist, and you have to applaud that those one issue voters, because they might actually come through. He might actually come through.